Okay, Luton won, Wolves won, and a disappointing but albeit not too surprising. A little bit nervous about what was going to happen. Luton in bottom of the league, and Wolves being the team they are, and it kind of turned out that way. I think two main things really that let us down today was the shocking performance, shocking officiating, and you could maybe add a third in of poor substitutions as well. First of all, we'll start with the officiating and then move on to the performance, because that's going to be the big talking point, is the red card and the penalty. First of all, the red card is really, really silly from Bellegarde to kick out at Lockyer, but I also think it's an incredibly harsh red card. Lockyer gets him in a leg lock. Bellegarde basically has no choice but to try and push himself out from between Lockyer's leg lock using his own foot, and the referee is obviously seen that as a kick out. For me, it's really soft. I think if you're sending off Bellegarde, you have to book Lockyer, or you just give them both a yellow card and tell them to get on with it. I just don't think. Look, you see soft kicks and pushes and stuff get given as red cards, but I really think this one's really, really harsh, and again kind of epitomises the luck Wolves have had with officiating. And then the penalty is even worse, because by the FA's own rules in black and white, you're not allowed to give a penalty if the ball deflects off the player's own body onto their arm, and it hits off João Gomez's leg onto his arm. So they're going against their own rules, which is incredibly frustrating. And it's infuriating to see, because the rules seem to change week on week, and as fans we're left wondering, what on earth are the rules? And then as for the performance, again, really poor. I think from start to finish there was a lack of energy, there was a lack of sharpness. I think the passing was so poor. Dawson and Sarr got into so much trouble. Kilman had to bail them out a couple of times. By far our best defender today. Midfield and attack really struggled to get anything going at all. And then after the red card, you're thinking, well, this is just going to be, another defeat at this point. But Pedro Neto with a real bit of brilliance, the only spark left from the Europa League team, and it shows miles above any other player in our squad quality-wise, with the end product to back it up. Excellent play to even get to the ball, cut inside, and the finish is amazing. Even better celebration. But again, ruined later on by the penalty decision. But I also thought the substitutes today weren't great, having basically no strikers for the majority of the second half, and also in the first half, sitting back and inviting pressure for at least 50 to 60 minutes of that game away from home. I get it, but from bottom of the league, a team that haven't even won yet, haven't got a point on the board, it's so poor, and Gary O'Neill has to look at himself tactically. I think tactically we've been poor in-game. I think the in-game management's been really disappointing. So, yeah, I think overall a really disappointing performance. We should have won that game. That should have been 3 points. I think under the circumstances, I could kind of understand O'Neill being a little bit more negative with his substitutions, but we were negative even before the red card and before the goal. We were getting dominated. Luton had 20 shots today and we had 3, which says it all. Really poor performance overall. Will be overshadowed by even worse officiating, but look, serious looks need to be taken into this team to galvanise them, because it's not exactly an encouraging performance.
Yep, so it's more points dropped against Luton Town. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on this one too much, because I feel like everyone else has got more to say than I do. I'll echo pretty much everyone else's thoughts. João Gomez, first of all, is absolutely 100% not a penalty, and I'm sure they've probably already apologised by the time that this goes out. It's not good enough, once again, from the PGMOL. What are we paying referees for? Doesn't make any sense. What are we paying why is VAR in the game if they can't even follow simple rule set? It feels like it changes every week. Feels like it benefits the big teams. I don't claim to have an agenda. I don't think that VAR has an agenda against Wolves. I just think that it's very, very poor from everyone involved in officiating. But at the same time, it feels like we're at the top of the apology table every single season. Do they want us to get relegated? I'm not sure. Why target us? I'm not really sure. I don't really get it. For me, Bellegarde is a red card. But at the same time, I think Tom Lockyer, he is very, very lucky as well, because he knows what he's doing trapping Bellegarde's foot. Bellegarde's just lashed out. I don't really know if he'd already sensed some sort of weakness with him and the short temper, and just decided to test it a little bit. But yeah, it's a red card. We can appeal it, I think, but I don't think it's getting overturned. I think he'll be gone for 3 matches, which is a huge loss for us because he's looked really good in his few minutes that he's had here. Gary O'Neill. Yeah, it's got to be one of the worst tactically astute managers in game that I've ever seen. Makes always the wrong substitution, always too late. I realised he was forced into a hole today with the 10 men, but my word, are you joking? Some of the substitutions, substituting on midfielders and defenders to try and get a point away at Luton Town when we've got Fabio Silva, Kalajdzic, Pablo Sarabia sat on the bench. It does my nutting. I don't really know where we're at anymore. I do think we are potentially the third worst team in the division. And I do think we are in serious trouble of getting relegated if things don't change immediately. And the one shining light in this team is Pedro Neto. If he loses form, if he manages to get injured, we're stuffed. If he leaves in January even, yeah, we're definitely going down. So I don't really know what to say anymore. And Man City next week as well. I just can't. Yeah, that's enough from me.
So it has finished Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Luton Town 1, or the other way around. Luton Town 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, should I say. But at Kenilworth Road, a game that many fans would have been looking forward to. The travelling fans. It's another stadium to tick off the list, a pretty iconic one with the away end, and yeah, I'm sure it was one that we were looking forward to. I certainly was. It was a team sitting rock bottom of the Premier League, hadn't recorded a point this season, and it was a real opportunity for Wolves players today, to put a stamp of intent down for the rest of the season and kind of give us a kickstart into two difficult games against Manchester City and Aston Villa. So there was an opportunity there today, and I thought before I get onto the Wolves' performance, I'll get onto the main talking points. Firstly, Bellegarde's red card. It's a red card. By the laws of the game, it's soft, but it's a red card. Lockie's held him down. He can't get out. The only way he can get out is to kick out and, release that kind of pressure on his ankle or on his leg or whatever was holding him. Really, really interesting one from Lockie, and, he got what was coming afterwards, but I'll get onto that next. But yeah, it's a red card. It's a shame. But it was stupid from Bellegarde, I have to say. With the cameras in the ground, you don't get away with those types of things. So he'll learn from it, but I'm just hoping Wolves will, after the game, they'll appeal that one, because that being put down as violent conduct and a 3-game ban doesn't sit right with me. I'm hoping that gets kind of not rescinded, but reduced to a 1-match ban. Secondly, the penalty. How that's a penalty, I don't know. That's not a penalty as long as there's a hole in my arse, to be quite honest. Gomez has got his hands in the air, reaching for the stars. And originally on the first look, I thought, stone wall, you could, unnatural position, all of that. And then I saw the replay. Well, before I saw the replay, I saw Doherty violently protesting it. And I was wondering, what's he protesting for? It's blatant pen, but it's come off Gomez's foot. Now, I saw on Twitter during the game, someone had posted that by the laws of the game, it cannot be given as a penalty if the ball is deflected off another part of the player's body, of the defender's body. It's gone to VAR, and yet it's still been given. And I don't know, there is a consistent bias against us at the moment, and it's glaringly obvious, and it's worrying, to be honest, because as much as we have been poor this season, we're getting zero help, and we got zero help last season and probably the season before that too. It's a bit worrying, to be honest, because it's blatantly obvious, and nothing is getting done about it. We'll get an apology on Monday from Howard Webb, and they'll think, well, that's our job done. We made another mistake. Don't know who the referee was. Forget his name. I assume it was his first Premier League game today because I didn't recognise him, and he looked way out of his depth. I thought the officiating was terrible. However, all that aside, Wolves didn't deserve to win the game today. With 11 men, we looked worse than we did with 10 men. The performances today were lackluster. They lacked tenacity. They lacked intent. They lacked drive. They lacked the will to win, to be brutally honest. And, you know, that's what we got from the game. That was the result from poor performances across the pitch. Dawson and Kilman looked decent defending their area. But anytime someone was running at them or, you know, balls in behind, and Luton were peppering us for the first 10, 15 minutes. It was disgusting to watch, to be honest. It looked, you know, everyone just looked lazy. They looked half-assed. No one was putting a foot in, shying away from 50-50 challenges. We knew that Luton were going to come with a you know, a physical type of performance, and we had to combat that. And I thought it was the right team, but ultimately it wasn't. We needed a number 9, of an out-and-out number 9. Cunha needs help. I said it last week. I'll say it till, you know, I forget the saying, but, you know, besides the point, Cunha needs help. And if it wasn't for Pedro Neto, we'd be in big trouble at the moment. And I think we are in big trouble, and something has to be done because O'Neill isn't doing it for us. The players aren't doing it for us. His substitutions were abysmal today. I can't get over the substitutions he's bringing on. You know, you've got 5. It's been increased from 3 to 5, and you're still wasting substitutions. You're bringing on fullback for fullback. You're thinking, oh, what you've realised after Doty's been brought on at left wing back, he looks shit here. Let's change it. So we move him off. You take Nelson off, and you bring on Hugo Bueno. Where's Kalajdzic? What's Kalajdzic got to do to get a minute? Let's get a start. You know. He was going 80th, 85th, 90th minute, and he wasn't getting a touch. I'm thinking, Christ alive, we're done here because we didn't have a focal point. And it got to a point where we were playing a 5-4-0 formation. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. Didn't deserve anything from the game. We nearly got nothing from the game. It's a real shame. On to City next. I'm sure it'll be just as hard. In fact, it will be just as hard. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've kind of lost my head. In a bit, Wolves fans.
It's finished. Wolves 1, Luton Town 1. Where to start? We have made Luton Town look like Manchester City at times today. Marvus Lukamba in the middle of the field was playing like Rodri, apparently. You know, Haaland up top with that Morris. Is it Morris or Morrison? I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah, quite embarrassing from us today, I'd say. I've had time to cool off. I recorded one earlier, which would probably not make the edit, as it's quite explicit. But it's not good enough from us today. It hasn't been good enough all season, really. I'm sick to death of us playing, you know, games in like 45 minutes. You can't play well for 45 minutes and then expect to be winning games and taking points off teams. I'm not saying we've played well for 45 minutes today, because we haven't. We were shit from minute 1 to minute 90. We're just lucky that Luton Town are abysmal. They've had 20 shots today and didn't score from open play. They scored from a dubious penalty, shall we say, from a João Gomez deliberate handball. I'll move on to that in a minute. But yeah, first half was embarrassing. We could all see that. We all know that. You cannot let Luton Town pop you around the pitch like they did. Win every battle, win every header, win every tackle, popping it around us like it's 1-2 into the box when it's like it's nothing. And we let that happen for a solid 35 minutes into the game until some absolute brain dead decision from our new lad. It wasn't good enough. You cannot kick out. I don't care if he's got you in headlock. I don't care if he's got you in an arm bar. I don't care what he's doing to you. You keep your head. It's as simple as that. He's going to be one of the main reasons today that we haven't got anything from the game. We got a win out of the game. I'm not saying he's the main one, because us as a football team aren't good enough to win football games. That is the main reason that we haven't won the game today. It's because we aren't good enough. No other factor. We could all say, oh yes, the refs give a ridiculous handball. It is a ridiculous handball. Even the law states that if a ball is bounced up off a body part onto the hand, then it can't be deemed a handball. Especially if it doesn't go towards goal, which this didn't. So not quite sure what's happened there, but I can. It's the referees and the PGMOL. They are brain dead. We all know that. We can all see that. I'm sure we'll get a nice little apology Monday morning. But that doesn't get us any points, unfortunately. But like I say, not going to dwell on the referee's performance today. I'm going to dwell on ours for the first 45 minutes. I think it's one of the worst we've ever played. Definitely the worst we've played under O'Neill so far. And I could pick 2 or 3 of them already, actually. Second half, we come out with a bit more spunkiness to try and get something from the game. I say that. We've lumped the ball forward to Neto, and that's some brilliance from him, who started really well this season and really dragging us through it at the moment. A bit of brilliance from him to get the goal. We go 1-0 up, and from then on, really, we tried to sit back and defend, and I don't think we defended badly. You know, we kept them out and we limited them. Sar's not really had to make a save. I can't recall anyway. But it's not good enough at the end of the day. We've got a point away from home at Luton, a team that we should be winning at. There is no doubt about that. And we've come away with 1. So I'm not satisfied. I'm angry at the performance massively. I'm hearing some murmurs that O'Neill should go. I don't think you can put it on O'Neill, because he sets the team up. He works the game plan each week, you know. But ultimately, when the whistle blows at 3:00, it's down to the players to win you the game. And they didn't start well in whatever system that he set up. They didn't start well, and he made a couple of changes early on, and it still didn't work very well. And luckily enough, we got into half time 0-0, and he could get the points across there, and we come out a little bit better. So yeah, we move on. We come away from this game with a point, and we move on to Man City next Saturday. It just gets easier for us. So yeah, I look forward to. Well, I don't look forward to it, but I'll wait for that one to come around, and hopefully we'll get 3 points there. I'm sure we will. So yeah, cheers for having me on, boys. See you next week.
Well, what can you say about that? Poor performance, really, from Wolves' perspective. Started really slowly. Didn't really get into the game until about probably 20-25 minutes in. Then actually started to control the play, really. Started playing a bit more football, getting the ball down a bit more, ball into feet, some good balls into the front men. Didn't create anything, which was disappointing, especially against a very poor Luton side. And really should have done better. But the sending off of Bellegarde is never a red card. He's got his legs caught and he's tried to push the guy off him. It's not a stamp. There's no malice in it. The Luton player's clever, or you could say cheating, rolling around on the floor like he's just been absolutely stamped on, which players do these days. You know, I don't blame them. They're trying to get a man sent off, and they're trying to get some points. But you know, Bellegarde shouldn't have done it. But equally, for me, it's not a red card. It was never going to get overturned on VAR, especially not when you've got a Wolves shirt on. But yeah, disappointing to get the red card. And then I thought second half the changes kind of made sense. With 10 men, it made sense to go a bit more defensive. Getting Totti and Doherty on. Not sure why I didn't leave Aït-Nouri on though, actually, if he's going for more of a left wing back. But it is what it is, and I say wasn't the worst decision in the world. We started okay. We probably played a little bit better with 10 men than we did with 11 at times. Pedro Neto, what can you say? Just what a player. Had no right at all to get on the end of that ball. Bullies the defender, gets on the end of it and rifles it into the back of the net. Brilliant finish. And Neto really looking, I was going to say back to his best, but probably better than he's ever been so far this season. What a player, what a goal. And suddenly we're 1-0 up and got something to try and hang on to. I thought we tried to hang on to it a bit too much. Didn't quite get the substitutions after that, if I'm honest. Took Kuna off, which is not necessarily the wrong choice if you're on the back foot. But how Sasha doesn't come on in these situations. It was the same against Liverpool. When we're under pressure, why does he not bring the big man on and try and give us a target man and something to hold on to? But less said about the penalty, the better. How it's ever a handball when the ball's come off his foot and hit his arm, I'll never know. Mike Dean on Soccer Saturday even said, please don't talk to him because he's got no idea how that's ever been given. And I have to agree. Yes, his arm's above his head, but the ball's come off his foot. The ball's nowhere near his arm, pings off his own foot and onto his hand. So I really don't understand how that can ever get given as a penalty. But then it's 1-1, and after that it was really just ball into the box really from Luton. We generally coped with them well. Sarr, awful. Just twice came for the ball, once completely missed it with his punch, once dropped the catch, and I don't know what he's doing. I've lost all confidence in him. I think he's lost all confidence in himself, which is probably part of the problem. But I guess it's a point away from home. You always knew Luton were going to get something. It's the sort of thing Wolves do. But really, we deserve to win it because they never should have had the penalty. And without the penalty, they don't score. So really, we should have won it 1-0. But yeah, anyway, we're going on to Man City next week, which, knowing Wolves, will be a world-class display and we'll probably lose. And that's the most disappointing thing for me. We were brilliant first 45 against Liverpool, and you thought play like that, we'll be 3-4 up against this Luton side. Didn't really create anything. But yeah, jury's still out on Gary O'Neill. I'm really not sure. I want to give, he's got to have more time. You've got to give him the benefit of the doubt so far. But we do seem to be getting worse. But yeah, on to next week.
The guidelines for the 2023-24 Premier League season suggest that, quote, no handball offence should be called on a player if the ball is previously deflected from his own body, and in particular when the ball does not go towards the goal. So you can tell me, Josh Smith, how you've managed to give a penalty to Luton Town in a match of which Wolves were 1-0 up with 10 men away from home, having played terribly, but that is by the by at this point. How has he managed to give a penalty, first of all? Now, his arm was up. João Gomez's arm was up. And the ball comes in, hits his leg, and then deflects onto his arm. And as I just recited there, the rules are that is not a penalty. So, how did Josh Smith give that as a penalty? And what's worse is how the VAR did not recommend that he went over to the screen to review that terrible on-field decision. And that wasn't his only bad on-field decision today. But my God, every single free kick, foul, Luton got it. Anyway, Luton won, Wolves won. We've drawn a game. We should have won. We had to win. Not good enough. Absolutely terrible. Jean-Luc Bellegarde's red card, disgraceful, I would say, on everyone's part. Bad from Tom Lockyer, bad from him, and bad from Josh Smith. If he kicks him properly with his studs, no problem with it. But Lockyer is actually holding him against his will, has his legs interlocked around him, and he will not let him go. And he is trying his absolute damnedest to get out of the actual, the grip Lockyer has on him. And yet, he was given the red card for it. I don't understand that. I really don't. I'm absolutely fuming with the red card. I'm fuming with the performance. I'm fuming with the referee. And I'm fuming with the manager, Gary O'Neill. I've had enough of him. We're only 6 games in. The substitutions today were negative as they come. Negative as they come, really and truly. Now, I am definitely one on the more conservative side of if you have a point away from home against 10 men, regardless of who you're playing. Try and hold on for it. Don't go doing anything stupid. But his substitutions were absolutely, disgustingly negative against what will be one of the worst teams in Premier League history. I can guarantee you that. They are terrible. A terrible side Luton are. And apart from Pedro Neto and his sublime quality, Wolves would have lost that match due to 2 bullshit refereeing decisions. And that is on the PGMOL. But not to worry, we'll be top of the apologies table again come, I'd say, about 10 o'clock tonight. I really don't understand it, but Gary O'Neill's substitutions, they really annoyed me. They really annoyed me because that game was there. Like, it was 1-1, but Luton weren't exactly pinning us in. And, like, I got chased to Southampton away last year. I thought with the right in-game management, we could have gone on to win it, but he took all the attackers off, left Neto up there all by himself. And Everton have just taken the lead at Brentford. That's great for Wolves. That's absolutely brilliant. Makes this day a whole lot better. Wolves were poor. They were terrible. The first 20 minutes was disgraceful. Last week, the second half was disgraceful. We just need to find that balance. O'Neill needs to find that balance. And, well, to be honest with you, I can't see it working with him. I'm really annoyed with the referee and him today. It's just, there's not really more you can say. Bad goal to concede. Never a penalty. But no ambition from Wolves. No ambition at all. And like I said, that rule just sums up Wolves. Cheated by the referees again. There's not really much more you can say. Ipswich next, O'Neill has to win. City and Villa after that. If he loses both of them, he can be gone and let him go. Because I am not a fan. I haven't been a fan. And I know where I stand on him. I know where I stand on the whole situation. The club is being run into the ground. And it's on a one-way street towards the Championship with a side helping from the PGMOL and the referees. Well, Luton won, Wolves won. What another grim day at the office for Wolves.